What's happening, you guys? Veggie here. So I've just finished week 5 of my fat loss phase on 2100 calories. Now, obviously I'm really dipping into that caloric deficit and my lifts have really been taking a toll. And just that's my general experience of just how it's been so far. So it has been quite the struggle, and I'm moving into my lowest calories, which is 2000. So I'm really happy that this week is just going to be about as hard as it gets. Just stick to 2000 calories for about 5 weeks and then work my way back into reverse dieting. That's the plans in terms of what I'm doing for this shred, and then I'll see what I want to do. I'll see if I want to compete, and we'll just move on from there. Anyway, you guys, the focus of this video right here is actually going to be on some low calorie ways of spicing up your meals, which is of course brilliant with fat loss. So obviously with fat loss you tend to have quite bland meals. Me at the moment, every single day, I've already shown you guys through my fitness pal, I'm typically having kidney beans, chickpeas and rice. Now that can be quite dull and boring. So most recently, because obviously I'm hitting that caloric deficit, I'm starting to feel a lot more lethargic. I'm starting to really struggle to consume the same meal, so I want to spice things up a bit. So I found some ways to really, spice up my meals in terms of meal prep. So these you can add to any meal of the day. Obviously, you wouldn't really add these to your breakfast, but for lunch or dinner or snacks in between, it's nice to add these small things. So the first one I'm going to really talk about is lemon juice, which is about 6 calories per 25 grams, which is actually brilliant in terms of calories. So if you want to add more, you can add more. 50 grams would be 12 calories. That's barely anything. 12 calories just to add that bit of zesty lemon, which is essentially the best way for me to describe what this flavor brings. It brings a bit of zestiness to your meal, a bit of tanginess rather than just your typical spices, which is quite nice. So you can add in a bit of zestiness, a bit of spiciness, which I'll move on to next. So my next one I'm going to introduce actually goes very well with the first one. It's Nando's Peri Peri Medium, which is what I use. Now sometimes I use hot, but I find that having obviously too much spice can ruin the meal. So I have the right amount, which I think is medium. Now Nando's Peri Peri Medium, for 25 grams, it's 19 calories, which isn't that bad. So it's about 2.5 teaspoons. And for me, that's enough for lunch, really. So I'll add that in. The next one is incredibly low calories, which means you can just pretty much add as much of it as you want to add into your meals. And that is Tabasco sauce. Now, Tabasco sauce, 25 grams has 3 calories. Now, that is barely anything. So if you wanted to have 100 grams, let's say you go crazy, it would literally only be 12 calories. And that's nothing, So 3 calories for a normal serving of what I'd have, that's literally barely any calories, and it adds a lot of spice to your food. The next one up on the list is jalapenos. Now, jalapenos are actually quite nice because they're obviously just raw chilies you just add into your meals. I typically have had them pretty much even during, a great deal of my life, just added them to meals. You obviously find them in salads a lot. I remember having them all the time in Subway. It's just something that brings a lot of nostalgia back to me of my vegetarian or even meat eating days. I'm pretty sure I had jalapenos quite a lot. So 25 grams of jalapenos has 7 calories. Now, jalapenos I tend to find is a bit different from your traditional chili, right? It's quite different. It's got a bit of different taste and flavor sensations. I tend to find that I actually love them. I can have them raw, and they're actually quite nice to consume, you guys. I highly recommend you add that to your meals. Next one up, this one's actually slightly different. Now, it's not so much to do with spice or zestiness. It's just olives I tend to find have quite a distinct flavor, so you can add those to your meal. 25 grams of olives, however, this is the highest amount of calories, 30 calories. Now, olives I tend to find are great because they're very uncalorically dense, and you can eat them alone, you can snack on them, and they're very good for your health. They're good for your skin, and you tend to find that people from such countries where they have an abundance of olives, they tend to have great skin color and great skin complexion. So in general, it's very good for your health, as well as being good for appetite suppression, considering it's a very uncalorically dense snack. Anyway, you guys, this has just been a brief brush over some of the very commonly found sauces and things you can add to your meals. Obviously, you can add, there are so many other things you can add, but it's obviously dependent on the region you are and what's available to you. These are very generic. These are things you can typically find in most supermarkets around the world. So I've listed these ones out. You can add them to your meals, add them to your meal prep, add them and just feel the benefits in terms of flavor of your meals, because they're small things, but they can definitely add a lot when you're having things such as rice that absorbs the flavors quite well. Especially, particularly one thing I found that's quite nice is soy sauce, which I haven't mentioned. Soy sauce is brilliant. Add that to your meals too. But anyway, guys, that's it pretty much summed up. These nice little things you can add to your meals to make a huge difference to the way they taste. A good example is the lemon bringing the zestiness, and the peri peri bringing the heat, really, you know, the spiciness. So it's really about having that variety of flavors. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in that next video. Peace.